Good morning. So today I am going to discuss about posterior pituitary hormone. So introduction. Pituitary gland or hypophysis is a small endocrine gland with a diameter of 1 centimeter and a weight of 0.5 to 1 gram. It is located at the base of skull. It is connected with the hypothalamus by the pituitary sac and or hypophyseal sac. Division of pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is divided into two divisions. One is anterior pituitary or adenohypophysis. Number two, posterior pituitary or neurohypophysis. Po- Posterior pituitary or neurohypophysis. Posterior pituitary consists of three parts: para nervosa, neural sac, median eminence. Posterior pituitary is made up of neural type of cells called pituocytes and unmyelinated nerve fibers. Hormones of posterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary hormones are adrenodiuretic hormone or vasopressin. Number two, oxytocin. Sources of secretion of posterior pituitary hormones. The posterior pituitary does not secrete any hormone. Antidiuretic hormone and oxytocin are synthesized in the hypothalamus. From hypothalamus, these two hormones are transported to the posterior pituitary through the nerve fibers of hypothalamus hypophyseal tract by means of axonic flow. Proteins involved in transport of these hormones are called neurophyzins. In the posterior pituitary, these hormones are stored at the nerve endings. Whenever the impulse from hypothalamus reach the posterior pituitary, these hormones are released from the nerve endings into the circulation. Hence, these two hormones are called neurohormones. Neurophyzins. Neurophyzins are the binding proteins which transport ADH and oxytocin from hypothalamus to posterior pituitary via hypothalamus hypophyseal tract and storage of these hormones in posterior pituitary. Neurophysin 1 or oxytocin neurophysin is the binding protein for oxytocin, and neurophysin 2 or ADH neurophysin is the binding protein for ADH. Antidiuretic hormone. Source of secretion. Antidiuretic hormone is secreted mainly by suprahepatic nucleus of hypothalamus. It is also secreted by paraventricular nucleus in small quantity. From here, these hormones is transported to posterior pituitary through the nerve fibers of hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract by means of axonic flow. Chemistry and half-life of antidiuretic hormone. Antidiuretic hormone is a polypeptide containing 9 amino acids. Its half-life is 18 to 20 minutes. Action. Antidiuretic hormone has two actions. Number one, retention of water. Number two, vasopressor action. Retention of water. Major function of ADH is retention of water by acting on kidneys. It increases the reabsorption of water from renal tubule and collecting duct in the kidneys. In the absence of antidiuretic hormone, the urine output would be around 20 liters per day. This leads to loss of large amount of water through urine. This condition is called diabetes insipidus, and the excretion of large amount of water is called diuresis. Antidiuretic hormone act on the distal convolutal tubule and collecting duct and causes water reabsorption. Vasopressor action. In large amount of ADH shows vasoconstrictor action, particularly causes constriction of the arteries in all parts of the body. Due to vasoconstriction, the blood pressure increases. Antidiuretic hormone acts on blood vessels through V1A receptors. However, the amount of antidiuretic hormone required to cause the vasopressor effect is greater than the amount of required to cause the antidiuretic effect. Oxytocin. It is an octopeptide regulate myometrial activity, causing uterine contraction. Formed in paraventricular nucleus of the hypothalamus, secreted from the posterior pituitary. Sources of secretion. Oxytocin is secreted mainly by paraventricular nucleus of hypothalamus. It is also secreted by supraaortic nucleus in small quantity, and it is transported from hypothalamus to posterior pituitary through the nerve fibers of hypothalamic hypophyseal tract. In the posterior pituitary, the oxytocin is stored to the nerve endings of hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract. When suitable stimuli reach the posterior pituitary from the hypothalamus, oxytocin is released into the blood. Oxytocin is secreted in both males and females. Chemistry and half-life. Oxytocin is a polypeptide having 9 amino acids. It has a half-life of about 6 minutes. Action in females. In females, oxytocin acts on mammary gland and uterus. Oxytocin causes ejection of milk from the mammary glands. Oxytocin causes contraction of myoepithelial cells and flow of milk from the alveoli of mammary gland to the exterior through duct system and nipple. The process by which the milk is ejected from alveoli of mammary gland is called milk ejection reflex or milk letdown reflex. It is one of the neuroendocrine reflexes. When the hormone reaches the mammary gland, it causes contractions of myoepithelial cells, resulting in ejection of milk from mammary glands. As this reflex is initiated by the nerve factors and completed by the hormonal action, it is called neuroendocrine reflex. During this reflex, large amount of oxytocin is released by positive feedback mechanism. Action on uterus. Oxytocin act on pregnant uterus and also non-pregnant uterus. In pregnant uterus, throughout the period of pregnancy, oxytocin secretion is inhibited by estrogen and progesterone. At the end of pregnancy, the secretion of these two hormones decreases suddenly and the secretion of oxytocin increases. Oxytocin causes contraction of uterus and helps in the expulsion of fetus. During the later stages of pregnancy, the number of receptors for oxytocin increases in the wall of the uterus. Oxytocin secretion increases during labor. Throughout labor, large quantity of oxytocin is released by means of positive feedback mechanism. That is, oxytocin induces contraction of uterus, which in turn cause release of more amount of oxytocin. Signs and symptoms. Loss of appetite, weight loss, nausea and vomiting, headache, muscle weakness, sperm and cramps, restlessness and irritability. In severe condition, the patient die because of convulsion and coma. Hypoactivity of posterior pituitary. Diabetes insipidus is a posterior pituitary disorder characterized by excess secretion of water through urine. Causes. This disorder develops due to the deficiency of ADH, which occurs in the following condition: injury or degeneration of suprahepatic and paraventricular nuclei of hypothalamus, injury in hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract, atrophy of posterior pituitary, inability of renal tubules to give response to ADH hormone. Such a condition is called nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Sign and symptoms. Excretion of large quantity of dilute urine is called polyuria. Daily output of urine varies between 4 to 12 liters. In the absence of ADH, the epithelial cells of distal convolutal tubule in the nephron and the collecting duct of the kidney became impermeable to water. So water is not reabsorbed from the renal tubule and the collecting duct, leading to loss of water through urine. Polydipsia. Intake of excess water is called polydipsia. Because of polyuria, a lot of water is lost from the body. It stimulates the thirst center in hypothalamus, resulting intake of large quantity of water. Dehydration. In some cases, The thirst center of the hypothalamus is also affected by lesion. Water intake decreases in the patients and the loss of water through urine is not compensated. So dehydration develops which may lead to death. Nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Nephrogenic diabetes insipidus is a genetic disorder due to inability of renal tubules to give response to ADH. It is caused by mutation of gene of V2 receptors or aquaporin 2. Thank you.